Been a lot of buzz lately about Form Energy's iron air battery. It's supposed to have a 100-hour capacity, and that's got everybody excited. So I'm going to talk to Dr. Kai-Philipp Kairies of ACCURE Battery Intelligence, who often answers our questions about new battery technologies and electrochemistry. So welcome to the interview, Kai-Philipp.
Hello, Markham.
Well, look, let's start with an overview of iron air batteries. How do they work?
Well, iron air batteries are a battery technology that is very attractive in terms of the raw materials used for it, because most of it is really iron, and iron is a abundantly available, low cost, non-toxic material. So that's great, and that sets the battery technology already apart from many other technologies. And it was actually for many years, around the 70s, thought to be a suitable technology for electric vehicles in the future, when lithium-ion batteries hadn't been invented yet.
And can you run us through how the technology works? Like, is it an iron anode? Is that it? Where does the iron come in?
Yes, it is an iron anode, and then you have an air-breathing cathode that basically brings in oxygen into the whole situation. You have an electrolyte that's usually a base, so maybe potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide. And then what basically happens in this cell is you artificially rust the battery cell, which frees up an electron that you can use to power whatever. And if you charge the battery, you reverse the reaction back.
So now I gather that the excitement around Form Energy's technology is the application in power grids, because long duration storage with over 8 hours, I guess, is being increasingly thought to be key to the integration of renewables. So what's your take on this, that particular application, and whether Form Energy has actually, cracked the code?
Yeah, so I mean, from looking at the fundamentals, iron air batteries seem to be a good fit for long-term energy storage. One of the reasons is that there's a few drawbacks to this technology, right? So, for example, the charge-discharge efficiency of iron air batteries is, compared to lithium-ion batteries, extremely low. For systems that we've seen a couple of years back, like as low as 50% or lower, which means in many short-term applications where you have lots of cycling, you would lose a lot of energy. So a long-term, long-duration energy storage efficiency is slightly less important in a total cost of storage calculation. And on the other hand, it's very hard to make an iron air battery discharge very fast, because when discharging, you rust the battery, and rust, it kind of blocks the part of the electrode where it is, so it slows down the reaction more and more and more. There's a few ways to engineer around this, and my assumption would be that Form Energy has looked at all the different aspects that could be improved on this battery technology, and hopefully has found smart ways to do it.
You deal with a lot of battery technologies, you and your firm, a number of battery scientists. What are you and your colleagues saying about the likelihood of iron air emerging as a significant low-cost form of long duration storage?
Well, I mean, we have seen that the technology, in principle works, and it's actually, the way that it works is relatively well understood, and we have seen prototypes for many years. So the question is really, how cheap can it get? And when we talk about the cost of battery storage, the one thing, I would say the most decisive factor in this whole game is funding and scale. And one thing that is special about Forum Energy, and probably the reason it's in the media so much, is because it's backed by breakthrough ventures of Bill Gates and also by Jeff Bezos of Amazon. So it seems like they have deep pockets, which would enable them to, really pay into that valley of death of early innovations, where they just run out of money before being able to get to scale. And so in terms of, raw material prices, iron is very suitable. In terms of funding, yes, I believe they have, the backing to make that happen. And now it's really a question of how good can they, how good and cheap can they build this battery, and what innovations could they really add to, the status that we had 5 years ago.
Now, Kai-Philipp, my understanding is that with lithium-ion batteries for EV applications, one of the reasons why we've seen such dramatic price decreases in the last, say 3, 4, 5 years is manufacturing at scale. And it is manufacturing at scale really critical to producing, cost-effective batteries of any kind.
Oh, absolutely. If we look at, there's many ways to look at, what triggered a certain decline in cost or price, and you can look at all the different, tiny bits. But one of my favorite, figures on the battery cost decline for lithium-ion batteries is if you just plot average battery price over cumulated production capacity in the world, and you do that log-wise, it's a straight line. So which means that with every doubling of the total production capacity worldwide, there was a steady price decline of about, I believe, 28%. So sheer scale. And of course, with bigger factories and with time passing by, and engineers and researchers around the world flogging into this new topic because they see, oh my God, this is, I can make an impact here. Like scale also, fuels innovation. And that just works. And for lithium-ion batteries, we've seen this steady decline, 28% for every doubling. And so the question is, if a company like Forum Energy, who's pioneering, this technology again, after, there have been many developments in the past, if they alone can reach that scale, or if a certain competition is needed to reach, these numbers, and also to reach a certain status that companies actively ask for it, right? So you want to have multiple suppliers to be safe on your supply chain as an end user.
Kai-Philipp, thank you very much for this. I always appreciate your insights.
Thank you.